Hello. Today we are talking about books that have made me angry. These are not necessarily books that I disliked. A lot of them are ones that I would say I wasn't a big fan of, but it's mostly just a particular scene or something about it that sort of ticked me off. I used to be a very sensitive person. I kind of got ticked off at many things that I don't think today would make me quite as angry. So a lot of these are books that I read a while ago. Let's start with a popular one. A series of unfortunate events. I loved this series for the most part, but this last book just really disappointed me. The ending is just not satisfying. It's just not. It's not really an ending. I remember reading it and just being not happy about this. It's just, there has to be more pages. This isn't the ending and the closure feeling that I wanted. I read 13 books of this to not get an ending. How to Train Your Dragon. This was one I read a long time ago. It was fine, but I really don't like the putting a lot of pressure on youngins to act like adults sort of thing, where like, oh, you're 12, so now you're a man and you gotta have man responsibilities. I really don't like that. I especially did not like that when I was that age. It just seems way too young to me to have so much responsibilities. So the whole concept of them needing to get a dragon and be able to do things with it or just get kicked out really made me annoyed. It just, it's like nails on chalkboard. Another very similar one to that, Carry On Mr. Bowditch. I read like the first chapter of this a really long time ago, and just the way that they were talking, it felt very much like this 12-ish, maybe year-old boy was like taking all this responsibility to take care of his family. You're 12. You shouldn't have to have this. It may be a bit oversensitive, but for some reason it's always been a thing that's really annoyed me. These choose your own adventure novel things. If you don't know how choose your own adventure things work, you read them and then at the end of the chapter it lets you decide what decision to do. And the concept is really cool, and I really wanted to see that, and I really wanted to see all the different outcomes. But in these particular ones, more than half the endings are like bad endings. They end with you dying or someone else dying. It was just, I thought it was so stupid. It's one thing to have a few bad endings, but there's probably one good ending in each of these books out of like 20. Happy endings, people. Be positive. The Rat Prince. A Cinderella retelling in which the rat that turns into the coachman falls in love with Cinderella instead of the prince. Based off this cover and the fact that a lot of people were classifying it as middle grade, I thought this was going to be very, very lighthearted and easy, but there was this point. This point at which something very evil and very violent happened really suddenly. There was no build up to it. It just happened. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be super shocking, and it was. It was extremely shocking. So shocking that I put the book down and did not pick it up again, ever. Robin Hood. This is another one I couldn't finish. Not only was there a scene where something very violent and evil happened, but also it had the too much responsibility upon young boy thing. Both those things happened at once in one scene near the beginning, and I was so annoyed. I couldn't read further than that. I have a problem. I need to finish this. You Cant Scare Me. Brilliantly relevant title for this book. When it comes to Goosebumps, there are some really good ones. There are some flops. This one, I wouldn't even give it the honor of being classified as a flop. I picked up a Goosebumps book wanting to see monsters and scary things. This book is about a group of misfit kids trying to scare the unscarable popular girl. And then right at the very end, chapter 20-something, a monster pops up and they run away from it, and then the book ends. There's probably 2 seconds of monster in here. This is a book about kids playing innocent pranks on the popular girl. This one's straight up a contemporary. What is it doing with this Goosebumps logo over it? Why are you here in this series? Why? Why? A Swiftly Tilting Planet by blah 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 blah. I still don't know how to pronounce her name. I really liked this book. This is the third book in the time quartet thing. I really liked all three of these books, but there was a part in here near the middle. Everyone's turning on someone due to a big misunderstanding, and I cannot stand that. I can't stand the main conflict is misunderstanding. Luckily, that was not the whole book. That was only part of the book. I did end up putting it down for a couple months before finally picking it back up and pushing through that part really quickly. Yay, I do like this book as a whole. Not that part, though. The Magic Finger. Such a cool concept, but so propaganda-y. I felt like I was reading the news. Mr. Doll, I wanted more from you. And finally, we have Emerald Green by Kristen Gere. This series was so cool and fun. It has a cool plot. It has a cool mystery. It has fun characters. But then this book's flaw is that it was so romancy. It's like the author forgot there were other aspects to this book.
Oh, I thought I was writing romance novel.
No, you were writing a cool urban fantasy. Stick with that. Focus on the mystery. Focus on the fantasy. Don't focus so much on the romance. I don't mind a romance being in the book, but a lot of books, particularly YA books, the romance will start over here, just like out of the way, and then as the plot progresses, they're like slowly inching their way forward, and then by the time you get to the climax, they're like in your face. This climax was so painfully obviously tailored to be romantic. Not to wrap up the mystery, not to be epic, but to be romantic. I gave this 2 stars, the other 2 books got like 4 stars. You're a disappointment to life. That's all I have for today. If you like video, then like video. If you want more video, sub. Goodbye.